I am a survivor of sexual abuse and rape. I was a victim from the age of 5 to the age of 19.
I had my first sexual experience when I was about the age of 6 or 7 years old. I think that was far back in 1988, 89 thereabouts.
Rape has somehow woven itself into being a regular occurrence in the society. For most female victims, the fear of being asked a barrage of ridiculous questions, ranging from the clothes she was wearing to where she was and why she was there, keeps them silent.
Coming here, on their mind, they might be like, what am I going to meet? Am I going to meet another person who will judge me? Am I going to meet someone who will receive me very well and who will not blame me? They will rather believe me.
Some victims and their families, fearing stigmatization, police extortion, and just a total lack of trust in the judicial process, choose to not report these cases to the authorities.
Most of them are way younger. Like, they can't actually do things on their own, and people that actually rape them tend to threaten them, don't tell anybody and all that. Probably when they now grow up is when you'll be able to be bold to go and report the case and all that. But then I don't think it might be too late then anyways.
I remember when we were young, in some area that I live, some people said whenever they want to have those kinds of things, when they want to roast a lady, they always use that slang, we want to go and do rotate, that they want to go and do a rotation on a lady. And I found out that out of those, all the girls that they slept with, none of them comes out to report to any law-abiding or to any law agency or security agency. None of them came out, and none of them come out to come and report. They just kept it within themselves.
Nkechi Macaulay is a boys advocate, founder of Boys Lives Matter Foundation, an organization geared at creating awareness on the sexual abuse of the boy child, educating boys on sex and sexuality education, and promoting positive masculinity.
I'm a journalist, so I go into the field, and somewhere along the line in my campaign for girls, I discovered that boys also suffered sexual abuse, and I began to dig into it. I began to ask questions, and I also began to create the awareness on social media, on my Facebook page. And as I began to converse with them, they began to open up their stories, and some were very horrifying. And I was surprised to find men saying, I was a victim, and I didn't like it. As young as 2, as young as 4. And some had experienced gang rape by girls. And I was like, goodness me, we have never looked at boys being sexually abused. We have always thought that girls were the victim all the time. And here we are, focusing on the girls, never paying attention to boys.
Deeply troubled by this epidemic of rape, we are concerned about its unending spate, and we are even more disturbed about the silence of our fellow men.
Men. A gender expected to be silent to pain. Strong regardless. Males, though most times ignored, also get raped.
I am a survivor of sexual abuse and rape. I was a victim from the age of 5 to the age of 19. Truly, throughout that time, I really tried hard to find support. At one point in my life, I think I was about 16 years old, and I truly went out looking for support, but everywhere I went, all I heard was the stories that women are the victims, men are the perpetrators. And it shook me, because I then thought to myself, well, I'm the only one, I'm the only man that's going through this sort of thing. And it was quite a scary thought. And I lashed out, I lashed out in anger. And in those times that I wasn't lashing out in anger, I was drinking myself into oblivion. And if I wasn't drinking myself into oblivion, I was trying to soothe myself with sex, mindless sex and masturbation and all that sort of thing. I used to go around thinking, well, men rape girls, but I was being raped by men and women. And I didn't, you know, society was telling me, well, if you're 12 and this woman rapes you and she's 20 something, it's okay, you're lucky. Well, I wasn't that lucky. I wasn't that lucky. I didn't see myself as lucky. It was in fact quite the opposite. It sent me into a spiral of bad relationships, of bad choices, of really, really painful marriages and all sorts of things.
I had my first sexual experience when I was about the age of 6 or 7 years old. I think that was far back in 1989 thereabout. I was actually, I had gone to my parents' house for holiday, and there was this maid that was living with them then. Before then, I wasn't really living with my parents, so I was just going and coming for the holidays, and that was it. So it was actually the maid that sexually abused me, and it happened for a period of time. I think it was actually throughout the holiday period, and you know, it was my first experience. It was very, very fearful. It was painful. It was I was threatened, and I remember the first time she threatened she was going to kill me, she was going to beat me, she was going to, you know, do all sorts if I told anyone. Somehow I believed her. I never told anyone, and throughout that period I remember vividly that whenever I was to be left at home with her, I would cry, but you know, my parents would just feel that I was just being childish, and they will insist that I stayed with her. So the abuse continued throughout the holiday period. She made me do all sorts. So that was my first experience. Afterwards, my second experience was with another house help who was employed by my foster parents. She would call me into the room when nobody was around, and she would tell me to touch her, you know, from there, touch her in private parts. She would tell me to suck her breast. From there, it graduated into other things. But then, by then, I was no longer new to it. So I knew, I had learned what to do, how to do it and everything. So it continued with her for a period of time too.
Martin Pelders also talks about why it is difficult to speak up.
I think one of the biggest issues is society. We are told, you know, that, let me take an example, you know, when you're a kid and you're running down the road and you fall and you scrape your knee and there's blood pouring out of your knee and you go back to mommy and daddy, usually one of the first things they'll say is, stop crying, don't be such a baby. You know, so what are we taught from a young age? When you're hurting, don't feel, don't cry. You're not allowed to feel. The second thing is that, you know, we're taught tigers, you know, as in, I think the Africans say, tigers don't cry. I know in South Africa they call it that. And, you know, we also taught that we shouldn't feel. We're taught that the man must always be the man and he must be strong. And men must just, you know, if something bad happened to you, you must just forget about it. You know? It'll go away. Don't talk about it. We're taught from a very young age not to communicate our emotions, our feelings. And this is a huge part of why men don't actually come out and talk.
The Senate has just passed a bill seeking to remove the statute of limitation on cases of rape. Hence, there is no time limit on when cases of rape can be decided upon. The bill, which has passed its third reading, removes the gender restrictions in the cases of rape, and now male victims are considered as people who can be raped too.
I now speak to a lawyer, Barrister Olajumoke Fashinloro, on the implications of this.
The new bill concerning rape, yeah, it means now we have a wider range for justice. Because before now, there were a lot of limitations. Like, well, not particularly limitations. You would just feel like, well, only the female could be raped, then now we now know that, okay, the men too can come into the circle of victims, and then there's no statutory barrier. I mean, like, you can, it doesn't matter how long you've been raped, you can come forth with your grievances. Because of the kind of system that we run, after the bill has been passed, then there is the need for the presidential assent.
Society, built on families as a basic unit. It is supposed to represent the qualities of a perfect family, right? But maybe it's just a reflection of who we are as individuals. Shattered pieces of imperfections and flaws, coming together with an aim to make things right. Sometimes failing.
Society plays a role in causing the rape or the sexual abuse, reinforcing it, promoting it, and I can explain. We have harmful traditional practices and beliefs, that can even trigger this abuse. For instance, you still hear from our society, parts of the country where a child is given up for marriage and they say, well, because she has entered puberty. And this person we're talking about is like 8, 10 years, 12 years, and 13 or thereabouts. And nobody sees anything wrong about it. Okay, and an adult man sleeps with this kind of a person. It is sexual abuse, it is penetration. And according to the law of the land, it's called defilement because this person is less than 18 years of age. And then some people don't even see what is wrong with that. And then society still plays another role in the area of stigma. You find out someone comes up to say, I have been sexually abused, I've been raped. And then different kinds of statements and comments and conversations will be thrown here and there, like, what were you wearing when it happened? Where were you when it happened? Or when you went to his house, what were you thinking? You thought it was not going to happen and all that. Why did you take that gift from him and then now you're turning back and say you don't want to sleep with him and all that? That's another way that society plays a role.
What can we do collectively to address this situation? So we have had one of such community agreed, the community leaders, traditional rulers, all of them agreed that any case that has to do with defilement, rape, cannot be settled within the community, because that is a culture in the past that aid it in that community. So resolving those cases at community level embolden the perpetrators. Resolving them at family levels now embolden the perpetrators to repeat it again.
Vera Uwaila Omozoa, a 22-year-old University of Benin student, was raped and killed in a church, and her sister claimed the police asked for a mobilization fee before taking any action.
I go through my phone every time to check what's going on, what's trending and all. I saw a post that the police said my dad refused, that they called my father. My father refused to call them to go to the station. My father went there severally, was running there as if there was his house. They even insulted him.
That is a foolish man.
Whether he's the first that they needed mobility money. They said they needed mobility money. They said they needed mobility money first before they can do their job. The Nigerian police said they needed mobility money first. They need money before they can do justice for the death of my sister. They needed mobility money.
In 2019, the hashtag Abuja Police Raid on Women trended for long on social media as some women who were arrested during a police raid on nightclubs accused the police of raping them repeatedly. The police denied the accusations and the case is still in court. There have also been instances where those brave enough to report are targeted with derogatory comments at the police station. Incidents like these discourage victims, prompting them not to see the police as a source of help. But even if the police is cooperative, how easy is proving rape? How do we prefer adequate help to victims?
I've had I'll call it misfortune of representing someone accused of rape You understand? And actually getting the person off the hook. You understand? Because the laws of rape, rape has always been a very difficult offense to prove. Yeah, so it's not even generally about the laws now. The laws in themselves, well, they can be better in many ways, not just in the creation of penalties and awarding of punishment to persons who are found guilty of rape. You understand? But in the entire process, because rape is very difficult to prove. Ordinarily, even in the best of crimes, rape is not something that is easy to establish. You understand? There are scientific processes that you need because of the modernization of the process of establishing guilt now. You know, there are processes. For instance, if someone is raped, the samples, someone has alleged that she was raped or he was raped, there are DNA samples that will be collected from whatever deposits from that person into the person that was raped. You understand? Analyzing of those processes, and then, you know, using those to establish a conviction. But if you come to Nigeria now, yes, we have strong laws. It's not just about adopting strong laws of rape and all that, but establishing, because our laws say everybody is innocent until the person is proved guilty, because otherwise anybody will just come and say she or he has been raped.
Another challenge is once it happened, the lady looked at herself and she felt messed up. The natural thing that comes to her is she wants to clean up, to go to the restroom, wash up, then they reset the scene. If it is bed, remove the stained bed sheet, you know, throw it away or wash it and get the place clean up. Once that is done, it has destroyed a large percentage of the evidence that we need to prosecute the case, or evidence we need to convince the judge that the person that is brought before him or her is the perpetrator. And cases are not won based on sentiment. They are not won because everybody is talking about it. They are won based on evidence adduced, convincing evidence adduced before the judge. And those evidence are destroyed even before the matter gets to police. So police are left with a lot of struggle to collect the little bit of evidence left. And sometimes you will be left with the testimony of the survivor alone, which may not be sufficient.
Misinformation and ignorance seems to be reasons why rape and defilement have been on the increase in Nigeria.
A lot of people don't even understand what an abuse is. Some people don't understand that if someone is carrying out a rape joke, it's an abuse. If someone is trying to see through what you're wearing, it's an abuse. If someone is trying to touch you and you're not consenting to that, it's an abuse. Okay? Or the person is even consenting to it, but the person is a minor. It's an abuse. Some people come, even some girls, at times they come, they say, yes, auntie, I was the one that told him to do it to me, but you're less than 18. So they don't even understand the concept of consent, that they don't have it and they cannot give it, and that is an abuse. And it starts with us giving the education out there, the sensitization, you know, trying as much as possible to prevent it. Our children should know what sex education is. They should understand their body parts. They should understand that for a child, every part of the child is private and nobody has the right to touch.
False rape accusations are also a pressing issue in recent times. As victims struggle to get justice and raise awareness on this crime, some others prey on the positive response of individuals to such claims.
False accusations happen everywhere. People accuse people of terrorism. People accuse people of stealing. People accuse people of various other offenses that they're actually innocent. We've heard of people that have gone to jail for 40 years and come out only for some issue or the other to come and establish that they were actually innocent, or some person to come and confess after all these years. So the issue will persist as long as there's humanity, as long as the human race exists. There will also be those issues of false accusations in respect of various kinds of offenses arising.
He who asserts in law has the duty to prove. For instance, I accuse you of a crime. That does not make you guilty of that crime. I have to present reasons why I'm accusing you, to bring out evidence I have. Because the man that is listening to two of us was not there when it happened. He's neutral. And the man has a duty to listen to me and also listen to you. So me accusing you have to state my case, give my evidence, put them together. Then you that I accuse you of that particular crime has also the right under the law to explain your own side of the story, to defend yourself, to state your own case. Then, if, for instance, I maliciously, I know fully well that what I'm accusing you of is not true, it's false. I'm doing that deliberately just for some reasons best known to me. You also have the right to ask for the court to help you out, you know, to demand that justice be done, because your reputation is on the line. Your reputation is damaged because I lied against you, and every right-thinking member of society believes that story.
The effects of rape is one that can take a lifetime to heal, leaving many scars behind.
Boys who have been raped are 4 times more likely to perpetrate a rape.
I had a trigger. There was a particular rape I never remembered. Somehow it's been buried, you know, but that I had a flash. So that happens to survivors. A point, something may trigger, and that's one of the reasons why I stay a bit off social media now.
Healing is tough, it is difficult, and it is personal. But to be honest, healing starts when the individual decides that they are ready. It's not the same for everyone. However, before any individual goes out to tell their stories publicly or seek for justice, I think that's something that they can also do for themselves alongside is seek for healing. Find a professional that you can speak to and who can walk you through the stages of healing.
Support people who need to be supported instead of begging for abusers. So if you do things like this, people will know that it's no longer business as usual. They will know that, again, punishing offenders, making sure that those who commit the crime are adequately punished in good time.
We have to educate children both at home and at school. Social education has got to be made that way. Then places where children are, they need to have child protection policy. Every school must have it.
We have a country where our cultural realities tends to show that women have lesser rights in the society. And to me, it's quite unfortunate where women are treated as second-class citizens in their own country. So the issue of rape, the issue of sexual-based violence or violence against women is not just rape. And addressing the issue of rape, we must look at it holistically. I think our attention more should be focused on our culture as it is. Women are, to my mind, so changed, so to say, in our cultural realities.
Okay, so
through the making of this film till now, one question that stays on in my mind is why? Why would anybody want to rape anyone else? One thing is consistent. Rape is a grievous crime with long-lasting effects.